Okay guys, here we are doing a kind of quick unboxing and then mostly a review of the first generation iPad from Apple, which came out in 2009. As you can see here, it's pretty much all screen. I've already unboxed this and opened it, so we're all ready to go, but it is wrapped in just a piece of cellophane here. Coming with this iPad is going to be the standard stuff for the most part. You have a product guide, product information guide, and a quick start paper. Also accompanying it is the slightly newer USB ports or USB cords. Not too much fanciness going on there. You do have a new power adapter, which is the 10-watt power adapter. You can charge it using the older iPod models, but it's not recommended because it just takes forever. So stick with using the 10-watt one, and you are good. Okay. Let's get to the iPad here. Okay, first we're going to start off. By the way, if you saw what was in there, there is no headphones, surprisingly enough. So it's kind of a letdown. You'd think they would include this. Guess not. Okay, so first we'll start with the hardware. I'm going to review the 64 gig version. If you can see that on there. So we're going to start with the 64 gig version. They come in 16, 32, and 64 gig sizes. There's a Wi-Fi version of each and a 3G version of each on AT&T, soon to be Verizon with the new ones. Sorry. Okay. They start at $499 for 16 gig, and then each 32, 64 is $100 more. If you want the 3G version, just add $129 to your total, and you'll get that. Okay, so we'll start with hardware here, and mainly screen. As you can see, there's a bit of a glare. It's worse in the sunlight, but it's not too bad. You can always turn up your brightness on your screen, so you do get used to it. We're going to start with the quality here, too, of the screen. I'm not going to be able to get this on video. I really don't think this is going to focus in, but the pixel density is not the greatest in comparison to, say, the Retina display on the iPhone 4 or the iPod Touch 4th generation. So that was a little bit of a letdown. But it's still great quality, and if you're holding it at arm's distance, you really can't tell. So you can't complain too much. It still looks beautiful. The darks and everything are really good, and the brightness does get quite high. So we're all the way down now, and it does get much brighter, as you can see by the white balance going on with my video here. We're going to turn that down for camera's sake. Okay, so obviously the front of this is all one solid piece of glass. See, that goes right to the edge where we have the rubber bezel around it, and the back of it is all aluminum. The back is kind of slippery. If anything's going to be easy to hold on to, it's the glass. The glass is solid, but this back is just kind of slippery. It's not particularly fine, but it's very smooth back, and it's curved, as you can see, so it's not flat. So when you have it sitting down, you will notice it's not like laying flat. On the top, we have the power button. Turn it on, off, and you can power down, reset, stuff like that. Take screenshots. We have the microphone and the remote and headphone jack. It'll work with any of the new Apple headphones with the inline mic and all of that. On the bottom, we have the speaker port, which is decent. It works good if you kind of hold your hand behind it when you're using it. It'll direct the sound more forward. Also, we have the 30-pin connector, which will allow you to do pretty much all of the normal stuff. With a 30-pin connector, you can also get a Hdmi adapter, and you can play movies up to 720 on your TV, and you can put your photos up through that. You can also get a VGA one, which is also good for stuff like the Keynote, which we'll get to later. The battery on this, Apple quotes about 10-hour battery life, which I've found through about a year of testing. It does get very good battery life, and about 10 hours. When I got it, it was about 10 and a half, and now it gets maybe 10. So I really haven't lost too much battery life after a year of use, which is very impressive. The processor in here is going to be the Apple A4, which is 1 gigahertz processor, single core. It does a very good job for what it does. You can really tell, it's really impressive how the operating system is definitely optimized for their processor. You wouldn't think you'd get such battery life and quickness from just a 1 gigahertz processor, so that was very well done. Okay, so this is currently running iOS 4.3, which is the newest operating system available for iPad and any iOS device, rather. There we go. The preloaded apps we'll go through here. We have Calendar, You have calendar, contacts, notes, maps, videos, YouTube, iTunes, App Store, Game Center, settings, as well as Safari, Mail, Photos, and iPod. A couple that are noticeably not in here is the voice recorder and stocks. Those were left out for some reason. Maybe we'll get them someday, but as of now they have no stock and no recording app for on here. You have several optional apps that Apple supports or comes out with, including the iWork suite, which is Pages, Numbers, and Keynote, which we can go into a separate review on those, but they're all very well done and really great set of Office apps for the iPad. You also have iBooks, which when you open the App Store for the first time, it's automatically prompted. iDisk and the Gallery are all Mobile Me related. Remote is great for controlling Apple TV or controlling your iTunes and HomePlay and stuff like that. Find My iPhone also is a new free feature for iPads and iPhone 4 users, where it'll let you show you on a map exactly where your iOS device is located. Okay, so now let's do I'll show you a couple apps in particular. Right here we have the Photos application, and it's pretty nice, and you can see how quick this is, and how details. You can just kind of throw these open, and you can go right into your photos, which rotate depending on your screen orientation. It's really quick, and obviously you can do multi-touch, and you can zoom in and zoom out just by pinching. You can go all the way back to the albums, and you can pinch out the album and go back to the main screen. You can also it also supports events, photos, places. So I'll show you where you're taking these on a map, especially if you're importing them from iPhoto on a Mac, which is really quite nice. You can place slideshows on here, and choosing your options of transitions and playing music, which will also go out to the Apple TV if you have it supporting through Airplay, which is that little icon right there. You just tap that, cancel, hit this one, and it'll give you all the photos that you want to select, and you can email, copy, print, all those types of things. Okay, so we'll go back there. Let's go back to the home screen. Next, I want to get to the dock, which a lot of people don't know. Right now we have 4 items, but if we actually drag and wiggle these things, you can add up to 6 items down there, which is a nice little change, especially with the larger screen size, so you can keep those with you wherever you go, no matter which screen you jump to. Settings on the new iPad is also very nice. It gives you a lot better layout using the pop-ups of windows and being able to have kind of multiple screens going on at once. The apps have obviously their own settings down here that you can change if you want to. The App Store is also very notable on here. The App Store actually has over 350,000 apps right now. Over 65,000 of those are specifically made for iPad, which is really good. My internet's pulling along here extremely slowly. New with iOS 4.3 as well is the internet is much faster here. Not my internet. I've got many things going on. But normally the new Safari browser runs at a much higher pace than what the other one is, especially loading like this long Engadget review. It's definitely loaded with a lot of pictures, and it was very snappy at kind of updating all of those. So that's a nice new addition to 4.3, along with other Airplay features. The iPad is also a notable app to look at. It looks very similar to iTunes, the way it does stuff. You can go to, say, Artists, and I really, really like the pop-up windows. If we go to actually, let's go to Albums, sorry. You can just pull up one from OAR. It'll pop up and turn around. You can view all the songs. You just tap, and it'll go right back out. So that's kind of a nice new feature that's only available on the iPad. And then get up here, you see the little Airplay button. There's that little screen. You just tap that, and you can switch it to Apple TV or the part of your Apple TV. So you can play your audio in other places along with the video. Wherever my video app is, here it is. Any of these music videos, we can tap Billionaire. I'll show you this real quick. So we're going to hit Billionaire featuring Bruno Mars. It's going to start playing. Oh, that one didn't work. Let's try a different one. Let's see if we have one here that's not covered under copy protection. I believe the ones that have copy protection will not allow you to play up on big screen. Oh, maybe not. Okay, well, those don't seem to work right now, but normally with Airplay you can just tap the little button, it'll throw up all of your videos on your Apple TV. Okay, well, those are the main features and highlights here. I've had mine about a year, and it's very well done. There's a couple things it does get a little bit heavy, especially if you're holding one hand for reading. You'll kind of notice it really does get kind of weighed down. I didn't get in too much iBooks, but it's a great app. I personally don't use covers, and mine doesn't really have too many marks on it. The screen can get a little mussed up over time. The Apple case is a great option if you're looking for something thin and stylish to use on your iPad. It's also a little bit hard to hold, as I mentioned earlier, if you don't have a case on it. So that might be something worth looking into. I think that's about all we have for the first-gen iPad review and unboxing. So if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them up in the comments, and I'll get back to you. Have a good day, guys. See ya.